If you've been following this channel for quite some time, then you know it is no secret I am still a big fan of Thomas the Tank Engine. I have already made a couple videos talking about my love and appreciation for this little blue tank engine, but I ain't done talking about them yet. As of this recording, it is still the 80th anniversary of the franchise when the original books came out in 1945, and for this video, I'm going to talk about something a little bit interesting. Did you know Thomas the Tank Engine was on vinyl?
Oh my god.
You heard that correct. Thomas the Tank Engine has appeared in the vinyl format, and I have two examples in package right here, and we're going to unbox them, and we'll talk a little bit of the history as we go. So this should be interesting. Hopefully you'll find this as interesting as me. If not, then oh well. But if you're a Thomas the Tank Engine fan, please give this a like, subscribe if you are new. If you want to support the channel, check out the Patreon page for exclusive content, and hype the video because apparently that's a new thing YouTube's doing. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. On May 12, 1945, the Reverend Wilbert Awdry would release the first book of the Railway series. These books were an instant success when they first came out, but by 1957, parents were already starting to get sick and tired of having to read these stories to their kid night after night, and so by popular demand, vinyl editions were announced. So basically, these are kinda the original audiobook. The first one came out in the same year, 1957, and was actually narrated by Wilbert Awdry himself, and it featured the first two stories of the series with Edward Stay Out and Edward and Gordon. Now, I originally wanted to get that one, but sadly, from what I can gather, it's kind of rare, it's hard to come by, so one day I want to get it, but it's not the end of the world because we're going to start with this one, and this one would come out a little bit later, 1961, and so we're going to go ahead and talk about the difference. So let's go ahead and unbox it real quick. Let me get my box cutter like so, and let's go ahead, let's see what's included with this. So I did get this off Discogs, and just go ahead, try to do this as neatly as possible without too much rippage, but no promises there. So let's give it a go. How do I want to tackle this? I might just have to rip this one, just say screw it, because I don't want to accidentally ruin what's inside here. Oh wait, no, I got it here. Again, it's not really the neatest thing in the world, but it's working. Got the cardboard. Let's put that over there. It's encased. So let's go ahead, try taking off the tape on this. And if we just slide it out, oop, we can see it. Just make sure, yep. Here it is. So you can see it right there. Let me put it up here so you can see. So there it is. So it's Edward Stay Out and Edward and Gordon by the Reverend Wilbert Awdry, read by Johnny Morris. Now Johnny Morris, he was a pretty popular kind of entertainer, kind of spokesperson, if you will, and he was actually a pretty big railway fan, and this is why this kind of intrigued him. It's quite why he agreed to do this. But again, 1961 this came out. There's him right there, that's good old Johnny there, and then there's an ad for all the other stories that he also did. I know he did a fair bit of the stories. He did, I think he got up to book 12, I think, and something like that. No, it was Percy the Small Engine was his last book. I'm just blanking what number that was, but I'll correct myself if I'm correct, if I get that wrong. So the Wilbert Awdry version from 1957, that was originally on Decca Records, but for these Johnny Morris narrated ones, these were released on a different label, and I'm going to go ahead, let's go ahead to make sure. Here is the label. I gotta say, definitely would not want to see that in my sleep paralysis, but in any case, this is I believe it's called the Lease Records, and the Railway Stories is what they're referring to this. got a little tiny spindle, or whatever they call the little hole, which you find in a lot of UK sort of releases like this. So pretty cool. And we already looked at the little cover that it comes with, and I like how it includes a image from the book. Of course, this is this first illustration from Edward and Gordon, where we first are introduced to Gordon right off the gate. But there you go. That is what we got here. I'm just going to go ahead and slide this back in. So I will kind of show what this one sounds like in a second. So let's go ahead. I'll cut to a little snippet of this spinning on the record, and let's see how it sounds.
Edward's Day Out. Once upon a time there was a little engine called Edward. He lived in a shed with 5 other engines. They were all bigger than Edward and boasted about it. They said, "The driver won't choose you again. He wants big, strong engines like us."
So naturally, these also sold pretty well. But what if you're not into the whole 7-inch 45 sort of format? What if you want the full 12-inch? Well, they also got you covered, because later down the road, they would. And this is what we have right here. I'm going to go ahead and check this one out. So let's get the box cutter once again. This one is a lot more heavily taped, I will say. So let's just see what we can do here. I think we can cut on this side here. So let's make sure you can see this. Gonna adjust it a little bit. The GoPro here. Oh, this is actually a lot easier. So let's just go ahead and slide it upward. And I think we still need to cut a little bit more. There we go. Nope, oh, there we go. I think we're good now. And here it is. Whoa! And then that's it. So not quite as clean. This is pretty old, so it's not going to be in the greatest shape. But this is it. And looking at it, I think I got my notes wrong. What this is from Decca. Of course, these are from the lease, and I think the Wilbert Audrey edition was on a different label, so I'm pretty sure I already corrected it by that point. But here it is. This is a full 12-inch record of the Railway series. And because it's much bigger, you can put a lot more on this. And so it actually includes 2 of the books. So side 1 will have the stories from the first book, the 3 Railway Engines. And then side 2 will be the second book, and it's actually the first book Thomas was ever featured in, Thomas the Tank Engine. So let's look over here. So it says The Railway Stories, Volume 1, by the Reverend Wilbert Audrey, read by Johnny Morris yet again. And then you have this pretty interesting logo here. That's kind of, not sure how to feel about that, but again, you still got the illustrations from the books, which is pretty nice. And then on the back, again, it has all these stories that are going to be told here. Again, side 1 has the 3 Railway Engines, and then side 2 is Thomas the Tank Engine. And then you got another picture of Johnny there. I think it's the same one we saw earlier, actually. Yep, it's the exact same photo, just kind of cropped differently. And then, of course, you got some ads for other stuff that Johnny also did, and other stuff that's on this label. And then a little excerpt from the author, which maybe we'll read that later. But yeah, it comes in a nice yellow. And then, of course, there's other volumes of this, and so should be good to hunt those out. I think we've started another trend for me, something to hunt down. But let's go ahead. Let's see how the record looks. So let's see. So again, there's it's on the kind of an orange, reddish Decca label. And so let's slide this out here. It's on mono. So here's side 1 that we have right here. It still has a Delise production label, but this was distributed through Decca. It's a little dusty, but should be nice. And here's side 2, and there's the stories from Thomas the Tank Engine. Pretty much the exact same thing. Alright, but not much else to say really. I don't think it comes with anything else. I will say, just feeling this, the cardboard for this feels a little bit more flimsy than your typical vinyl, so this is one you probably would need to be more delicate with. Probably got stored properly as well, but again, I'll treat it as best I can. But I do like how I guess the inner sleeve has some polythene lining, which I guess is nice. I'm just going to slide this back in, put it back in the sleeve here, and just like we did with the 7-inch, let's go ahead, put it on the record table, and let's hear how this sounds. Again, it should be pretty similar sounding to the 45 because it's basically the same recording, but let's go ahead and cut to the record player. Let's see how this one plays.
Thomas and Gordon. Thomas was a tank engine who lived at a big station. He had 6 small wheels, a short stumpy funnel, a short stumpy boiler, and a short stumpy dome.
So there we go. So this is Thomas the Tank Engine on 2 different formats in terms of vinyl. Pretty cool additions to the collection, I must say. And just like I said a bit ago, again, there's many kind of additions or other volumes of these. So again, I think I've started a new rabbit hole for me to go down. So we'll see if I can collect all of them. I know most of the books have been put on vinyl, but I'm pretty sure not all of them did. But we'll see how that goes down the line. But pretty cool, to say the least, especially if you're a Thomas fan. Pretty fascinating stuff, if I do say so myself. But we're not done yet, because I got a bonus package here, and it's kind of on topic, kind of not. It's going to be an interesting one, and we'll talk a little bit about this in a sec, but first let's go ahead, let's unbox this right now. And here is the package yet again. Now we're on the floor and we're ready to unbox, so let's jump right into it. And after removing the bubble wrap, what we have here is a release from Erasure. Yeah, we remember Erasure, don't we? They were a pretty well-known synth pop, dance pop duo, and this is their 1986 single, Ou l'Amour. And this was off their debut album, Wonderland. And some backstory behind this. Of course, you're wondering, why is there Railway Series, Thomas the Tank Engine pictures on this cover art? Well, some backstory to that. Basically, of course, like I said, this was off their debut album, and I guess they had an idea to have each single have like a theme, and the theme would be presented through the artwork, and it was supposed to have like some sort of fairy tale aspect. And then eventually they got to this song, and I guess the person who was in charge of the cover art just so happened to stumble upon the Railway series and chose 2 images from the books. So we have on the bottom left here, we have a image of Percy, and this was clearly, I guess, a redrawing of a image from his book, Percy the Small Engine. And then on the top right, we have an image of a character named Rheneas, and this was basically another redrawing of an image from the book Gallant Old Engine. And long story short, I don't think the person got permission to use these, and so to avoid a lawsuit, they would have to recall this and basically replace the image with a plain black just background. Disappointing, I know. But some of these did get released to the public before then, and so these still circulate around. Of course, not really as frequent as the more black cover, but I just wanted to get this purely for the fact that it has Thomas images on it for no real reason, because I'm going to play you a snippet of the song so you get the idea. So as you can hear, there is zero connections to Thomas the Tank Engine, but just for the fact it has imagery of Thomas on the cover, I just had to get it. And yeah, it's just another nice, neat addition to the collection. So in the grand schemes, it doesn't really match the tone of this video, but I think it'll be a little fun bonus for you. So there you go. And there you have it. That's my brief overview and unboxing of Thomas the Tank Engine on vinyl record, and very fitting for its 80th anniversary. So hopefully you found this interesting like I do. If you did, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you wish to support the channel, make sure you check out the Patreon page for exclusive content, and even hyped up this video. Apparently that's a new thing, like I said a couple times already. But thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and goodbye for now.